Hey guys, it's Stephanie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe, hit the bell for more content, hit the like button, and share away here. We share away here for the love of Star Wars. The cantina is open, and I hope you enjoy the next video. What's my glitch today? Hey guys, it's your bar manager and host, Stephanie Janicek, coming to you live from her office in the back of the bar. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about the problems at Lucasfilm and that are illustrated in how they've been treating the fans and how some of those who actually worked for Lucasfilm for a long time, show lack of gratitude for having the chances they've had working, basically working for George Lucas, which, is a huge deal. And the lack of gratitude they have for having those experiences. At least publicly, you don't see it in the way that they behave towards certain aspects of what Lucas built. Proves they didn't care for what he was doing and think they can do better. And I'm gonna use something from theology that I learned from basically RCIA, talking a little bit about the 7 deadly sins, pride. Of course, it takes a lot of pride to come in and take over for someone as revered as George Lucas. He's either revered or hated because he went out and did his own thing. And Hollywood doesn't like that. But he basically himself created the independent film industry. He kept Lucasfilm as far away from Hollywood and the corporate sector as he possibly could until, well, we know what happened. In October of 2012, he sold Star Wars and Lucasfilm to Disney, and now I got this. Whatever this is, I still can't figure it out. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about pride. So Kathleen Kennedy comes in as at that time the interim president. She was also the co-president of Lucasfilm when he sold it. She actually kind of helped maneuver this deal to happen. And, she helped get the deal done. So she takes over as the interim president of Lucasfilm and immediately sets about dismantling the personnel that had been there for decades, working for George Lucas, and creating the story group because she thought she could do better. Now, she's one of these women, these phony, feminists from, the 70s and late 60s who burned their bras and, screamed about how men kept them down and stuff like that. And, how she's done all this stuff on her own, and then you see that everything she's done has been with her husband. Phony, 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 phony. And she's really never done anything on her own until she got the chance to run Lucasfilm by herself. And, her hubris, her pride has been her downfall because she's not a talented producer, as talented as people want to think. She knows absolutely nothing about how to relate to screen talent. Her treatment of Mark Hamill has been appalling. How you relate to directors who are, very, very, very egotistical people at times. In fact, most of the time they are. She can't deal with an alpha male. She can't deal with people who disagree. She can't make up a decision. But she could do better than George Lucas. Her pride. Then there's envy. The envy for what Lucas built with his own 2 hands. It permeates the story group. It permeates their shills out in their paid shills like the Wards, Steele Saunders, and the rest of these people who have been paid under the table or given perks that the rest of us don't get. You know, and the fact that, you know, there's everything. There's greed, there's lust, there's envy. Again, like I said, let's see, I gotta read this. There's gluttony on the part of Bob Iger and Disney. It's like, you're going too fast. You want too much. It's not going to pay for itself in 5 years. This isn't Marvel where the story doesn't matter, okay? It's Star Wars, a completely different thing. And you can't just turn out Star Wars movies like you turn out stupid superhero movies. I mean, I'm sorry, guys who like the comic book movies and the superhero stuff. I can't. And it's the only place where Hollywood's actually making any money anymore. Go figure. But there's gluttony and there's wrath. I mean, now we get anger. I mean, the fans go to get pissed off when, you know, they dump the EU. Or we get pissed off. You can't tell people who are emotionally attached to a storyline and decades of world building and history building for thousands of years, the history of the galaxy for thousands of years. I mean, that's what the EU is. And they said, gone. And we're all supposed to go, oh, okay, you can do better. No, they can't. They really can't. And that's, again, their pride and their hubris walking them off a cliff. So, you know, we get TFA, and it was, you know, Kennedy gets pissed off at Michael Arndt because he wants to do the right thing. And, you know, take 2 years to really write a good script. And she fires him, brings in, you know, of course, JJ was going to direct. So JJ writes a very mediocre script, a not very good movie, really, when you think about it. 1,000,000 times better than TFA or TLJ, yeah. But still, it's not that great of a movie. TFA was not that great of a movie. So he comes in, does TFA. Man, some really didn't like it. I tried to like it. I tried to find excuse after excuse, but after about a year, I was like, you could have done a lot better. And you didn't do well at all by Han, Luke, and Leia. The missed opportunity now is glaring. The fact that Carrie Fisher is no longer with us. And it's sickening, in my opinion. Really, the towering, overarching greed and lust for power that was going on at the time when you know, hurry, let's make a movie and let's redo all this stuff and we can make our own worlds and all this world building stuff we can do too. Well, no, you can't. You can't. All right, and you proved it. You know, the fact that Kennedy decided she wanted to use younger directors, pliable beta males that she could manipulate to tell the story she wanted to tell and not Star Wars. Again, if Star Wars was her baby, if she had actually created it with her own 2 hands, and do whatever you want with it, no one would like it. But because it's not, no matter what, I don't care if she's the head of Lucasfilm. I don't care if Bob Iger is the head of Disney. It doesn't belong to you guys. It still ultimately belongs to George Lucas, and you fucked it up. You thought you could do better. You're a bunch of greed-filled, prideful, envious assholes, okay? I'm sorry to say that, but you are. And then you get, you know, and I've said this before, other things going on, like Lucasfilm employees like Pablo Hidalgo, Rian Johnson himself, people who worked for Lucasfilm, Freddie Prinze Jr., etc., you know, attacking the fans. And this is quite interesting, and this is the thing that really just kind of sets me off right now. You got the tweet I put on this. If you take it in the context of the whole thing, because I tried to get as much of the rest of those tweets as I could, they're basically talking about the prequels. And Disney ran with the people hated the prequels meme. Now, a lot of people still do. They're morons, and I won't have anything to do with them, and I tell them off. You know, if you get pissed off at me for liking the prequels, well, you're in the wrong place. I'm a George Lucas fan, first, foremost. You can't have the OT now without them, and they were really good stories. Sure, they have their problems. Look at what we got. And I'll tell you something, guys. Half the reason why we got this garbage right now is because of how you treated George Lucas. This is part of the reason why he sold Lucasfilm, was because he wanted to make his sequel trilogy. And he knew if he started talking about it, the fanboys would start freaking out because you ruined my childhood. Well, guess what? You guys are responsible for this, and now Disney's ruined everybody's childhood. All right? You did this. You did this. You need to take responsibility for this. So anyway, back to what Pablo was doing. Pablo said something about trade routes and something about basically how the Clone Wars started. The lack of knowledge of history on how wars start is very apparent in Balding Fat Guy's statement there. Do you want to know how the war in the Pacific started during World War II? The Japanese wanted to expand in the Pacific, not necessarily because they wanted to expand the reach of you know, Code Bushido and all the rest of that stuff. They didn't have any oil. They were looking at Indochina and other places where there's gads and gads of oil and saying, we need to exploit that. We need to go there because the United States have basically stopped selling them oil and raw material to build their navy. This is why, ultimately, why they attacked us at Pearl Harbor. They wanted to turn the Pacific into a Japanese zone so they could get their hands on raw materials to expand their navy and to keep their navy going. All right? It's very difficult, I know, for people to understand that that's all there is to it, but that's really all there is to it. Of course, they had their own expansive nationalistic views. I mean, they went into China, Manchuria. You want to read a book that is just absolutely horrific, read The Rape of Nanking. I have a copy somewhere. And but their war started with us because we were saying, you can't go into China like that. You can't do this to these people. We're not going to sell you any more oil and any more old Buicks to turn into battleships and airplanes. They got pissed off, realized we were shutting off the spigot, and they went after us to keep us out of the Pacific so they could get their hands on the natural resources in Indochina, la, 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 la. And we all know how well that went for everybody. When you look at the war against Russia, the Russians actually, when World War II started on September 1st, 1939, actually had an agreement with Germany not to attack them. Germans went into Poland. The war started, and basically the Poles and the Russians divided Poland. And the Russians were actually selling the Germans oil and other things. Okay. Then Hitler turns around while the war in the West is starting, is going on, and attacks Russia. Why? The natural resources, the oil fields. They needed the fuel too. Okay, and the Germans, where they sit in Europe, is literally the worst possible place for any aggressive military power to be because there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Sure, you have the Ruhr Valley, manufacturing, la, 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 but they don't have their own oil industry. They don't have their own, on and on and on and on and on. And, when you look at what happened in Romania with the bombing of the Romanian oil fields. You know, we went in there over and over and over again, very low level at times, B-24 Liberators, and bombed the living crap out of them, trying to stop the Germans from that oil, because Germany was in Romania at the time. And, you know, that's how wars start. Somebody has something somebody else wants. Literally. And Hidalgo's is basically making a smart-ass comment about how the Clone Wars started. Trade routes, and that sort of thing. And that's how they start. It's not always, I want to expand my country. It's not always, you know, when you look at Rome, I mean, Rome expanded not only just because they could, but because they almost had to. All right? They almost had to. They built those roads all over Europe, going right back into Rome, the Appian Way, because trade goods from all over the empire went on those routes. The legions were able to march on those routes. There's a reason why Rome did what they did. It's to keep bringing in resources and keeping down the places that they had, that they were using and exploiting, so they could keep doing that. How did Rome die? The mines were drying up, the silver mines. Natural resources were drying up. You know, they got too self-satisfied. Some people like to explain, use the advent of Christianity as a blame, and I really don't. The loss of Roman identity is another thing. That's how Rome ultimately died. And they grew weaker. They forgot what it meant to be Roman, and the barbarians showed up. And by the time they sacked Rome, there's only 12,000 people in Rome living there. This is a city at the height of the empire with 1 million people. Okay? And at the time, it was one of the biggest cities, if not the biggest city in the world. Okay? So this is how wars start. And there you got Hidalgo complaining about it. Would a kid understand it? No, he's more interested in Anakin and how Anakin became a Jedi. But the overarching theme of just the Clone Wars, that movie, and to the end of Revenge of the Sith, is how Palpatine uses the attack on Naboo by the Trade Federation to start a war to consolidate his own power. All right? He used that trade war and ultimately the Clone Wars. He's the one who basically pulled the trigger on all that, his own planet, in order to take power. And it's a very complicated, plot, and it's way beyond Disney's attempt to even try to understand it. I mean, the idea that someone like Hidalgo or anybody, any of the females that are working in the story group, you know, I'll bring up the novelists like Chuck Wendick and Amy Vincent, could understand that's how it started. They don't, because they're more involved with their own agendas, their SJW, NPC garbage, than they are telling a good story. Ultimately, when you look at how Palpatine maneuvered everybody around, that's a good story. How he maneuvered, started the Clone Wars, and consolidated power. Okay. Obviously, that was lost on Hidalgo. He didn't like it, and then he made that comment. The lack of gratitude is staggering to me. They have not been able to tap in to the magic that Lucas tapped into. And as much as it saddens me, it also pisses me off. It really, really does, because when you think about it, these people should not be working at Lucasfilm at all. They don't know what Star Wars is about. It is about us. It's a reflection of our history, the clone. I mean, if you look at the politics of the Clone Wars, you know, on and on and on and on. And it's also a fairy tale. And Disney got it into its head that they could make Star Wars movies like they do Marvel, and they can't. That's not how it works. And they found out. Bob Iger even admitted we went too fast. 1. 2. You can't insert your garbage politics that piss people off, even people who might agree with you, into something like this and expect us all to like it. We don't. 3. When you show a lack of gratitude for the opportunities that you've had, a lack of respect for the people, the man who created this beautiful thing, it shows what a petty, small person you are. And the hubris, I mean, it's coming back to bite them all in the ass, and we can see this right now. It really, really is. So anyway, I want to just let you guys, you know, kind of think about what I said. Leave good comments. I'm sorry I've taken so long. I probably should divide this into 2, and I'm not gonna. This is just gonna be one big long video. So anyway, you know, this thing has bothered me for a long time. The examples of pride, of hubris, of envy on the part of the people at Lucasfilm for the person who created Lucasfilm and Star Wars is appalling to me. And the apathy now that they show the genre, the franchise. I mean, and it's in the stories they're writing. They don't care about what they're doing. You can't create something in art and not have any passion for it. And there's such a lack of passion that you can't miss it. It's there in your face. Okay, so anyway, this is Steph. You know, to just taking time out to say hi. Have a good day, and you know, just watch out for the Wookiee bouncers. Don't cause any problems, and they'll leave you alone. See you around the galaxy. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell for more content, share away here, and the Cantina's gonna be open all day, so leave comments. Let me know what you think, and you know, I've talked about the subject a lot, but it still intrigues me. Just what kind of personal grudges people have against Lucas with the people that are running Lucasfilm right now. It staggers me that they would let people who worked for him, who got chances, who got opportunities that he gave them, would allow this all to happen. Anyway, this is Steph signing out. See you around the galaxy.